Welcome to Mobile Armor Radio, the podcast for all things Mecha. Jumpship incoming.
Welcome to another amazing episode of Mobile Armor Radio.
That's being optimistic.
Yeah.
No, these are fabulous, man. These are just fabulous.
Yeah, and I'm one of your hosts, Brian, and with me today is
Chopper.
And I'm Rob.
And...
It's the same order every time. Why'd you get
I
confused there?
I didn't get confused. I wanted to see if you'd take reins and jump in instead of leaving all that dead air.
He's trying to sabotage you, Brian.
Yeah, that's the name of the game. That's why I keep these intros nice and short.
Yeah. It's already too long for you.
This ain't that other podcast I listen to where they sabotage each other every corner.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not be cutthroat. Let's be friends.
No, we'll be friends. It is the summer of 2024, officially, I think, now.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, we got a good show today, so I think we're going to head right on into the dropship and talk about what we're working on.
See? Quick and efficient. That's what Brian.
Look at that banter. I had more than 1 minute of it.
Who needs banter?
Enough of this banter.
Dropship landing.
Welcome to the dropship, which is where we talk about what we've been working on lately. But to start it off, we have a quick sponsor note. The dropship is brought to you by John Bear Ross. He is no longer doing his Patreon, but we want to support him still. All of his past projects are still available on My Mini Factory. Just search for John Bear Ross, and the link will be in the show notes. We thank JBR for being a loyal sponsor and friend of the show.
Yep, and he just came out with a 15mm version of his Project Malice Parabellum.
Parabellum?
Parabellum.
Probably.
Parabellum.
Yeah, which is kind of like the
Lady
Warhammer.
The country singer?
I think they changed the name.
That's
Antebellum, and they changed the name. Anyways, this is it looks kind of like a Warhammer. It was originally done as for Warhammer. Whoa, I'm so confused. It is Warhammer 40K. It's a Warhammer for Warhammer 40K. I was like, wait, Warhammer twice?
Weird.
I'm so confused.
It's a Warhammer for Warhammer in that game Warhammer.
But now
we have Warhammers.
Now it's at 15mm, so people do play Battletech at 15mm, so he kind of did it for that. So it's he also says it's great for desktop if you want to just have it on your desktop. But yeah, he did the picture here. It shows with the battery for scale, but he's also done something quite ingenious. He has if you go to his I think it's on his My Mini Factory, but it might be on his Colts. He has a banana that you can print for scale. There's a banana for scale now. It's the same size as banana.
Peanut butter jelly time.
So there it is. There's a picture with the banana for scale, how big it will be. So it's about the size of a banana, actually.
It's a banana.
So yeah, if you're interested, the links will be in the show notes. But yeah, he's got it all over.
You can also print off legs that attach into a banana, and then you have a banana walker.
It could be a banana hammer. You just put the long guns on it.
Banana hammer. Nice.
Well, we obviously weren't making any of those things. So I will throw it over to Pat. What have you been working on?
Well, surprisingly enough, I have worked on a little bit.
Yay!
So we've since done all the nerd away and got some, and I've straightened some things out and I've cleared out some space. So I actually started working on my Neo Zhang a little bit because I bought myself a cheap throwaway airbrush.
Why don't you have a nice airbrush?
I do have a nice airbrush, but
you can't throw it across the room.
Well, I can't because it gets dirty really quickly, and I have to really give it a good clean every once in a while.
Airbrushing sucks. Yes.
So I thought, you know what? I don't need very fine painting for this giant Neo Zhang. So I bought like a $70, $80 Iwata.
That's your idea of a cheap one?
Well, sure. You know, when you ball, you ball. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. This guy.
So that way, if the tips get clogged or whatever, because I'm running all those different tints through, and I do thin them up a bit and things like that. But occasionally, because those pieces are big, so I'm just running like loads and loads of paint through it.
Yeah.
Because not only am I priming the pieces, then I am basing them with a chrome, and then I'm tinting them up with whatever color pieces because couldn't just do it the easy way.
Nope, you're crazy. That's why you're doing it that way.
I know. So I got that. So I was able to chrome up a whole bunch of pieces for like 3 or 4 pages of the next 3 or 4 pages of the building manual. And then I did that a couple days ago, and I started tinting up all the bright red parts, if you know what the Neo Zhang looks like. And then as far as mech stuff, I didn't do too much other than Nijong, because in between that I was painting 1978 Battlestar Galactica Cylons.
They count.
Yeah. Well, those are true robots. I don't know if they're mech, but they're true robots.
Well, the airplanes you can drive inside them, so the fighter ones.
The Cylon Raiders, you mean?
Yeah, especially in the new ones. They have they're the actual Cylon Raiders, but you can actually get inside them still. So
yeah. So I've been messing around with those figs. I just, out of nostalgia's sake, I've been really rolling deep with the Battlestar Galactica rewatches and things like that.
Original.
Yeah, thank you said that. Don't get me wrong, I did like the remake. It was a good story, but 1978 will always be near and dear to my heart.
Not 1980.
It's like that. 1980, we don't even talk
Not
about.
the 1980.
There was never a Battlestar Galactica in 1980. I don't even know what people are saying. They might be confusing it with Buck Rogers. The second season.
My favorite.
But now we digress. Did I do any other mechs? And then we did talk about. So I started taking inventory about all the different mechs I have now, because between all the Kickstarters and all the 3D prints I've done prior, I don't know what I have.
For Battletech, you mean in general, or just everything?
For Battletech in general, everything.
Yeah.
I just don't know what I have for Battletech in general. I mean, I even printed up some Aerotech. Because in the near future, I want to get a bunch of us, a group of us, you're included too, Brian, to meet up and do a grinder scenario like they have at Adepticon, but just among friends.
Among friends, so that we don't hate people.
Yeah, well, we'll hate each other, but that's a given.
We already do that.
Yeah, that's a given. I mean, and then we go get pizza and everything's fine.
That's the way it should be.
But I want to make sure, see what I got, because chances are we might have to combine the different tonnage I got. And also I got to figure out. I only watched it. I've never actually played in it, so I don't know exactly how the mechs are
the grinder rules.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a set of rules out there, or
I think I got some mechs for us to use.
Yeah. See, but those are those all BattleTech, or are those?
Yep. Nope. Those are all BattleTech.
My cab looks like that also. So I have a big pile of BattleTech like that.
I think that was just the clan. No, that's the Inner Sphere. I have another box full of clan. That's just the Inner Sphere box.
I mean, the only thing that's saving me right now is the fact that I never took them out of the boxes that came in the Kickstarters.
Oh, some of them I have still in the boxes, but most of them are out of the box. They're in that box.
So it's easier to make me easier to inventory because I can just look on the box.
Well,
instead of picking one up and go, what is this thing?
Yeah, let me try to find one here. I did this to it. The bottom of every one has a code with a number, and I have a database what each mech is. So
nice.
So I know what every single mech is, because otherwise I'd be like, what the hell is this thing? I recognize some of them obviously, but there's a lot of mechs.
Whenever I take them out of the box, I'll do the same thing.
I'll send you my database so you can use the same numbering system.
Okay, sounds good. But other than that, I think that's it for the mech. I mean, it's really just working on the Zhang. I really want to get that done, and so to further that is I got that cheaper airbrush.
There you go.
Because the one I got is the one I use now is expensive. It's a $300 airbrush.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
So I think $80 is fairly cheap.
The question is, when you do get it assembled, where are you going to put it? Because it's the size of a small child. So
I know it's probably going to go on one of those Calyx cases. I'm going to get it. I decided, and I've chatted with
or a crib.
Okay. I'm gonna hang it from the ceiling.
That could work.
Like when I was 10.
Like your little airplanes.
Next to my B-25 bombers and my Revell kit Vipers.
Nice.
And my monogram kit Buck Rogers Starfighter.
I did that for an A10 Warthog at one point, but I didn't paint. Like, it was terrible because I didn't paint it because I was like 10.
Yeah.
But they'll probably go on the one. Like I've talked it over with the wife, and we're gonna get a third Calyx 4x4. I think I got 4x4. Are they 4x4s? So whatever the biggest one they got.
Yeah.
I think it's 4x4. It's either 4x4 or 4x5.
5x5?
Maybe.
4x5. It's 4x5. I'm sitting right
4x5.
next to one. That's what I was looking at. I'm sitting right next to one.
And if I do get a third one, or when I get the third one, hopefully that model will be done, and it'll probably go on top of that, just like all my Eagle Moss.
Well, you have no room there for your Eagle Moss Battlestar stuff. Takes up the whole, what, 3 or 4?
1.5. 1.5.
It's amazing how many.
1.5. So.
You have every single one of the Battlestar Eagle Moss? Yeah.
Every single one.
It's no longer in company, so you won't be able to get any more.
It's all right. It's going to pay for my funeral when I pass away. I told my wife just to sell them.
She'll be just like, these are junk, throw them out.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they're running like $100 a piece now.
Yeah.
And they're only like 40 to begin with.
Well, you can't get them anymore. I think there is a company that's doing some of them, but not all of them. So.
I don't think they're doing them. I think what they've done is they bought all the overstocks.
Yeah, it could be that
selling
too.
them until they sell out.
Yeah, it could be that.
So, but that's it for me. I'm just dragging on with nonsense.
As always.
How about you, Rob?
For me, I haven't actually started it, but Extra Guy, the other Patreon I follow, he did another heavy gear model, which I'm going to be printing soon. I love those models. And yeah, they're great scale. Like, it's real fun because they're way bigger than the actual heavy gear. So he did that, and he also did, and I think there's a video of it. Let me try to find it here. Yeah, let's see. He did this. It's the Appleseed. What is it called? Urban Defense Mech, and it's on a diorama with like a. It's that huge mech in Appleseed, and yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's very alien looking.
Not the landmates.
No, these are the. It's the giant thing in the diorama. It's stepping on a piece of broken road with the huge tank. Like, that tank's pretty big right in front of it, and it's pretty cool. So I'm gonna be printing up this too. I haven't printed anything in a long time, so I'm getting back into it. So I gotta clean my printer and things like that. So that's delaying me.
I either gotta put them, clean them, give them a good clean, and put them up, or start printing. Clean them up and start printing.
I'm gonna print those two things for sure. I would print the John Barros's thing, but I already have the large scale version of it, so I don't need two of them. He's on my shelf right over there.
What about the banana one, though?
Yeah, I could print a banana.
Print the banana.
I have my own bananas. It's all good. But yeah, other than that, I haven't done much. I can't think of anything. I still haven't painted my ignition core. I haven't even primed them yet, so I got to go out and prime them and then start painting those up because they're cool.
That painting contest start?
It's almost over, I think. I think it is over at this point, actually. It was for May. You missed it.
I totally missed it. My intention was to actually do it, and then it slipped my mind.
And then you forgot completely.
I did.
You maybe have 3 days as of
next
this
year.
recording.
Well, the thing is, I have other things going on with Gen Con that have also been taking up a lot of my time. But hopefully soon that won't be such an issue, and I will be able to focus more on my own hobbying.
Yeah. Yeah, Gen Con's only a couple months away now. It's actually about 3 months away. 2 months. Yeah. End of July. So anyways, yeah, that's about it. What about you, Brian? You got anything going on?
Nothing big to speak of. I did make sure that I had the right size magnets for my ignition core kit so that I can magnetize it when I get around to it. But the one thing I actually have starting up as part of my other podcast, Dead Zone the podcast, we're going to be starting a slow grow a session to do like Dead Zone to firefight and stuff like that. So I'm hoping as part of that process that I kind of get back into the groove of painting up and assembling a lot more of my Mantic minis, because I've got a lot of it was really difficult picking what faction, because I've got really cool mech toys for several factions. I got a bunch of the Forge Father stuff, I've got the Marauders, and I've got Asterians. Wound up going with Enforcers because I have more of
What about
them.
GCPS? You don't have any GCPS?
I've got so many GCPS.
I know. You have your Gundam GCPS, so.
I got
Yep.
so much GPS.
I was like digging through stuff. I got like 10 sprues of Marines. Just
They almost killed me trying to put those together and print them all. There were so many of them. I almost died trying to do all that. So I don't even want to think about doing those Marines anymore.
But I will say, like, it is really nice. So Mantic's been doing a vault, which is kind of their 3D model distribution. And one of the things that they did this last month, which we were so happy to finally see, is there's the heavy burst laser and some other pieces, optional pieces for the Strider, which is their kind of main mech unit in the game. And we now have them as printable STLs, because previously they were metal. They were pewter
and hard
pieces.
to get.
And hard to get.
And your mech would weigh 1,000 pounds, and
it would make them so front heavy, and it would
Yeah.
just tip over and everything. So now that we have that as a resin option, I'm definitely looking at making more Striders, because I love those things. But
here's
but
the.
yes.
I'm showing the vault right now. The last month. Oh, last month. It wasn't last month. It was the month before, I think. Oh no, there it is. There's the Striders.
is the month of May.
Yes. The vault's been killer lately, and June's vault is got tons of great stuff, tons of stuff I don't actually have. So that's a rare thing for Dead Zone. It's all the new stuff coming out. So
yeah. So if you like Mantic games and you do or have friends that 3D print things for you, definitely hop on the vault.
it's like $10 a month.
They
I
don't
think.
pay us to plug it or
No.
anything. It's just a really good deal.
Yeah, if you want those minis, and plus it has tons of terrain and stuff too, which is great. So,
So that's been kind of the big thing. So I was actually planning to assemble at least some of the models today. I was going to go with, like I said, in the Enforcers. I'm planning to paint them up as the Bad Batch from Clone Wars, and because I did all of my other Enforcers as clone troopers and stuff. It's a fun time. I really enjoy doing that. So so it's mostly I'm on the cusp of doing it, and as part of my other show, I think it's gonna
force you to do it.
Yeah, painting up these minis en masse for once, as opposed to just letting them sit there.
Did you back the Epic Warpath Kickstarter?
I did. I'm trying to remember. I think I only did it for the $1 so I could get into the.
That's what I did too. But
Manager.
Pledge Manager's up now, but they have a 3D option for those too. Some of the extra stuff you can do print. So I was going to get all the 3D printed stuff and maybe just print that. But Epic Warpath is 10mm scale? Is that what they added it up at? 12, something like that.
10 or 12. I think it's probably leaning more towards 12.
Yeah.
They have some really neat, gigantic things in the Warpath universe.
Which I would love to see it at 28mm scale. That's all. I don't know if you could. It'd be way too. You'd have to have a huge printer, I would think.
You have to, or slice it all up. So looking forward to that. But ultimately, I do have a really nice game shop near me that's been supporting Mantic stuff. So that's kind of where I start going into it these days, where I'm like, the Kickstarter is doing fine without me. I'll wait for it to come out and get
support it at retail. Yeah, for sure.
So otherwise, But otherwise, that's kind of what I've been working on, which is all potentially working
Yeah,
on
same with
stuff.
me. Mine's all potential. For once,
Yeah.
Pat was the one who actually did something. It's a weird.
Yeah, you
it's
did,
a
Pat.
topsy-turvy month.
That's because I made positive moves.
There you go.
Mhm.
It's getting warmer too,
And-
so you can go in your basement without freezing your ass off. So
Yeah, without turning on the heater.
And speaking of moves, I think we'll move on into the ComStar.
Oh, look at that. Nice.
Sagwa. And we'll be talking about all sorts of other stuff there.
Message from ComStar.
As Rob snaps his finger.
Damn clacker.
Welcome to the ComStar. This is the section of the show where we talk about TVs, movies, books, comics, games, video games, all sorts of stuff under the sun that is mech related or adjacent that we have been digging into lately. And it's definitely a fun segment of the show. And we also talk about some news stuff. So I'm going to throw it over to Rob to kick things off.
Okay. The first piece of news is Cyberpunk Edgerunners from the anime is getting a tabletop for their RPG Cyberpunk Red, an expansion. So it's bringing Cyberpunk Red into 2077, which is interesting because Cyberpunk Red takes place in 2049, I think. So
Okay.
it's bringing it into the future. So this will be, I think, a little preview of what's to come in the new Cyberpunk. But yeah, so if you enjoyed the Edgerunners anime, this is for the game. So
And they're doing a combination of, it looks like they're going to have a print, is it a 3D print option for it? But they've been showing like the standees and the some of the minis.
Oh no, that's another thing.
Oh,
that's
an
an actual board game that they're doing. This is actually for the RPG. So yeah, they also have a Cyberpunk. What's the name of that game? It's all about gangs. Oh, what is the name?
The one that Monster Studio.
Yeah.
Monster Fight Club.
Yeah, Monster Fight Club.
Well, they have an Edgerunners version of that, which is, I think it's gonna have solo rules too, which is very interesting. Once again, I'm gonna wait. I think I'm gonna wait for Gen Con to buy that one, but that's gonna look cool because yeah, they have standees and they have actual miniatures for that, but this is the tabletop version too. So I think they realized how popular Edgerunners was. It might have been a surprise to them how popular it ended up being. So now they're really jumping on it. Combat Zone, that's what it's called. Yeah,
that's right.
So yeah, we got two different things coming for Edgerunners coming out. So I think for the role playing game, it comes out end of June. And I'm not the other one. Are they kickstarting it? I think they're kickstarting it, so it'll be another couple years or a year or so. And yeah, so I can't wait for that. Once again, in the show notes we'll have the press release, which will have more information.
Yes.
But the other thing is Redline Payday ended, and it's ended up with 212 backers, $19,000, just over, I think. And I think that was their most successful Kickstarter yet. So
nice.
Good for Cameron and those guys. So can't wait for that. I obviously pledged for it, so I can't wait for that to come. And we got to play more of that too when we get together. Speaking of things to do when we get together. And the other piece of news, which was just released, is that there's going to be a new Ghost in the Shell in 2026. A new movie. So that'll be fun. Because next year is its 30th anniversary, I believe. So
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it came out 95. It came out, so yeah.
I didn't see the press release on that. Is it a?
It's not much. You just put a picture up saying coming in 2026.
Yeah,
is it a remake or is it a? Do we know?
I think it's gonna be original because it seems like it's.
I heard rumors that it might be closer to the manga.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting direction for that because the manga was a bit more cartoonish.
Yeah, and funny. It was kind of funny, and it was yeah. It was much more like Pat Labor actually. The Pat Labor TV show is much more like it's kind of got a little bit humor to it, but yeah. So we'll see. Like they did the I think it was on Netflix. They did the sequels to it too, which were fun. I think there's 4 volumes of the manga now, and yeah, they go in really weird places. Like I think the 3rd one is all about the colonel. What's it? Yeah, I think she's a colonel. I can't remember, but
What? The Motoko Kusanagi?
yeah. She in her new body, and she's totally different. Like it's very odd, and it's all about hacking and stuff. It really doesn't follow the rest of the team where the first two did. So hopefully it's more like that, because it was fun. The rest of the team, it's like it became so much about her, but it's really, the manga is really about the whole team. Like, she's barely in it, really. She's just another character but I think the movie really focused on her, so I think that she became the breakout star, kind of.
Yeah, it's kind of a fascinating series because of like how different each take was, but like all of them very solid in their own direction with it. Like the movies were really great and kind of challenged, those ideas of like what is your identity when anyone can have your body. And then you have Standalone Complex, which was great about the future of like hacking and what is life in the future, and how do you manage legal situations in it and policing it.
Yeah that's the thing. The manga is much more about the policing part. Like they are part of the government, and they try to, I think they're like the FBI, kind of like, that's the equivalent, because the other section's more like the CIA, and they always get butt heads of those guys. So yeah, it's really good. Like, if you don't have a chance to read the mangas, really do it. And I'm looking forward to the new. We have to wait 2 years, which sucks, but it does take time to make a anime. So
yeah, true.
Everybody's hoping it'd be hand drawn, but I cannot believe it'll be hand drawn. So
no,
not anymore.
Probably not.
Yeah, those days are past. I don't know if there's. I wonder what the last hand drawn anime, like. I don't think it's been. Maybe I wonder if the what's his name? I can't remember anybody's name.
Shiro Masamune?
No, that's the guy who made the
original mangaka.
Yeah, no, I was thinking more of the other anime guy who's huge. What's his name?
Hideaki Anno?
The one who just came out with a new movie. Anyways, I can't remember. Anyways,
the movie with the things and the
yeah, I can't remember anybody's names, but he
Anno's the Evangelion guy.
No. This is the one that's popular. Everybody loves.
No, he's not. Well, I don't know which one you're talking about.
You're talking about Ghibli.
Yes. Yes. I can't remember his name. Anyways, like, I don't even think those are hand drawn anymore. So.
No. Well, some of them Miyazaki films are. So. Yeah, anyways, I'm not sure actually.
Like, because it's very expensive to do a movie like that. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And other than that, for my actual ComStar is I watched the movie Atlas. We've reviewed it before with J-Lo, and it's a movie. The mech parts are really, really good. Like, the action.
Did you watch it?
Yeah. It was like, the mech parts. They look like Striders from Dead Zone, or that's a pretty common thing. But the way they move and stuff is very fluid, and it's like, oh, that's. You don't think of them. You think of them stomping around Striders, but if you picture them like this, it's much cooler, because some have blades on them and stuff. The actual story didn't make much sense. Like, it was a lot of nonsensical parts. Like at one point she is getting a whole group of. It's all about AI. The AI are the bad guys, and she's working with a good AI that's in the robot, and she's got to learn to love the AI and realize that some are good and some are bad. I'm sure there's a message there, but at one point she's being attacked, and like literally they're running down the street or running into the room, and for some reason she has time to like upgrade her mech, and I was like, what? When did this happen? And all of a sudden the mech can just grab weapons and just add them to it, like just like magically adds to it. I'm like, this makes no sense all of a sudden. Like they realize they backed themselves into a corner, and like
it's got an F1 pit stop crew.
Yeah, like, well, more like she literally grabs a gun and sticks it onto its arm, and all of a sudden it works. I'm like, maybe earlier you should have said maybe it's super modular and every weapon is, should have mentioned that earlier.
The drivers.
It's the future. It's plug and play now. It's all
yeah,
plug and play.
They should have mentioned that, but it had some good parts. But mostly it was a lot of cheesy dialogue and a lot of like melodrama for no reason.
Yeah, a couple of trailers I saw were very like that. I was like,
but it's like 2 hours long supposedly, but it's it goes pretty quick, and the action scenes are really good. So it's worth it just to skip through the boring parts and go to the action scenes. So it's what it does show is how good like mech combat can be in a movie. Like I don't know how much the budget for this movie was, but the actual human CGI, some of it looked really bad, but the like there's one point where there's a AI's head is just like in a briefcase, like they're interrogating it, and it looks so bad. It was like you could see like the matting around it. I was like, oh my god, this looks terrible. But the actual mechs look great. So, like, yeah. So there's a few set pieces with the mechs that it's worth watching. So, and then there's other parts where I'm just like, it makes no sense. So. Don't try to think your way through this movie because it makes no sense. A lot of it's like
so when I do watch it, it'll be just suspend belief or just whatever, right?
Yeah, the whole thing is they're trying to capture the leader of this terrorist AI group alive because they want to interrogate him and figure out how he did what he did. But she already knows how he did what he did, so it makes no sense that they're going through all these people get murdered for no reason because she could just say this is what happened, and instead she never tells anyone. So. It's like and then she still completes the mission. I'm like, you don't need to complete the mission. You know how it happened. So, it was crazy, but yeah, it was. There's some funny parts and it was good. The AI in her mech is a little. It learns to be sarcastic because she's sarcastic, so it's pretty. It has some good one-liners. So nice. yeah. But watch it for the mechs. That's all I'm saying. And it's free. It's on Netflix. So,
well, it's on Netflix.
Well, I mean, you don't have to go to the theaters.
Pay
and watch
for Netflix.
It. Yeah, but you don't have to go to the theaters and watch it. It's not like you know.
Fair. You
already have Netflix probably, or you know someone who has a password that you can steal. So, anyways,
we here at Mobile Armor Radio do not endorse.
No, I support pirating 100%. Yeah. Anyways, that was me. Who wants to go next?
I believe it's Pat's turn.
Okay, really quick. I didn't read a damn thing. I didn't watch that list yet. Well, because I hobbied. We know how this works. We know how this works. If I get downstairs in the basement,
one or the other.
Nothing happens on the book side. Did we pick up another? No, that was the last time too. See, that was the last time. Yeah, I mean, my goal was to watch Atlas, but Shogun got in the way.
There's no mechs in Shogun, I don't think.
Yeah, no, there's no mechs. There's just a
lot of samurai action.
A lot of Harry Carey going on.
There's not a lot of mechs yet.
Yeah, it's a prequel. Yeah, it's a prequel to Japan. You just got to wait for the 8,000th season when it gets to the mechs.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't read any books. I didn't. Other than doing research for the grinder, which really falls into the dropship. I mean, I didn't have any mech related TV shows or video games to do.
Yeah, it's been for a while there was a lot of stuff happening, but right now it's a little lull. So.
I feel like it's a little dry. So, unfortunately, I did nothing in the ComStar.
Oh well.
So that's all right. And for my part in it, I have picked up Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I think that's the name of the second one. The other one, right where you're running around as Cal Kestis. So far, it's been fun. Haven't gotten to the mechs yet in that, but I'm sure they exist because it's Star Wars.
There's probably some kind of large thing that's going to stomp on you.
I remember in the first game you're running around on top of an AT-AT at one point with Saw Gerrera. So looking forward to something similar. I know a lot of my friends have really held that game up as one of the better, if not best, Star Wars games, at least recently. So looking forward to that, which unfortunately means that Armored Core is on hold for me, but eventually I'll swap that in. And as I understand it, that's a game you really need to focus on getting good at.
Yeah. If you want to succeed, yeah.
If you want to succeed. My brother was playing it too, and he's like, oh man, I just got decimated early on.
Try it over and over and over again to get past one thing.
And we're like, man, we played Armored Core 3 back in the day. I don't remember it being this hard.
Because all games back in the day were like that. Now we're we're so used to games
I
having
remember
easy
Armored Core being
modes
was very hard to begin.
It's always
point.
been pretty tough. So
Yeah,
but all games were. That was the point. All games used to be hard. There used to be not different levels. There used to be, you know. Personally, I play every game on story mode, so I don't care.
So I've got that kind of going on, and then I did actually make it out to catch the Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Freedom movie.
Oh, nice.
When it was in theaters, it was a two-night kind of event, and I got permission from the wife to go out and see it because it was like on a Wednesday and it's like over 2 hours long. It's safe to say I actually have a full review that I did with my good friend Celeste. We have a storied past of where we reviewed the Gundam Seed Destiny movies like over 10 years ago. In great detail, and so the series had always kind of been this kind of a strong connection that we had with it. And I will say, if you really enjoyed the Gundam Seed and Seed Destiny series, I think this movie will be a hit for you. It's very much like, it feels like one of those series pared down into a movie, which they've done.
They do all the time. Yeah,
they do it all the time, and it does really feel. So it started its development back in 2006, where I think a lot of it was written down. Sadly, the main writer for it had passed away at one point, and in 2015, and but they were able to get it started up again, and as of right now, according to Wikipedia, the film grossed over 30 million US, becoming the highest grossing film in the Gundam franchise.
Oh, then it was only out for 2 days.
I think it was at least for my local release of it. I think some places did a broader one.
Still, that's pretty impressive for not having a wide release. Like, it's not like it's a regular movie. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, and it's to summarize briefly, like, it is kind of the whole cast is kind of present from Seed Destiny. It really feels like it's picking up, a year or two. I think it even is like a year or two after the events of Seed Destiny. So a lot of our main characters are still kind of running around. Has some pretty neat moments. New villains show up and antagonize things. There's a greater focus on the character of Kira Yamato, like, struggling with this kind of weight of the world where he's kind of the best, and so he just doesn't want anybody else to like
be the best.
One of those like get hurt or get in his way.
He tries to.
He's like, I'm the only one that could do it, but it also makes me incredibly lonely. And
classic trope.
There's some domestic issues with his. I forget if they're actually married at this point. He has his lady friend Lacus Klein, who's also like kind of in a prime minister-esque role, and a lot of stuff happens in this movie over the course of 2 hours.
Yeah. It's no Atlas. That's all I'm saying.
No, yeah. A lot of stuff, and some of it's excessive. I remember thinking at one point, I'm like, you know what Seed and Seed Destiny always did really well is the ship-to-ship battles, because they were the first ones that used like the 3D models for the ships, so they could do a lot more with the animation budget. And then they take that to the extreme where it just starts, like the last battle goes on like a half hour.
Oh, that's good.
So it's it's a fun time for people that grew up watching this show. And it was like if it's your entry into Gundam, which kind of goes in stages. You have the OG, you've got Wing, and then Seed came out after it. Like I think there's those three generations of Gundam folks. I think people that grew up watching Seed are really gonna like this movie. Other folks might have trouble following it.
Yeah.
Am I other folks?
You probably wouldn't know the hell is going on. Yes, you have to watch the whole series before you can watch the movie.
And I completely like if you need to probably rewatch See Destiny at least to remember who some of these factions are, because
it gets so complicated.
There's like 7 of them.
Yeah.
at play. But some of our favorite characters do get their fun moments. So I had at least 2 or 3 moments in the theater where the crowd kind of cheered or laughed or whatever. So that's a good sign.
Was it like a full theater, like a lot of people?
I wouldn't say it was full, but it was not empty. So I would say it was about half full.
Nice.
Which is pretty good showing, and it was
for normal movies. That's a good showing nowadays.
Was subtitled. I think the second night had the dub, the English dub.
That'd probably be more popular.
And of course, it would have been a lot easier to follow, maybe, when you're not having to read and detect what's going on.
Especially on a big screen. Yeah, that'd be hard on a big screen.
Yeah. But I mean, you combine that with the success of the Gundam Witch from Mercury, just this last, Gundam's doing pretty well right
I hope
now.
this shows that the live-action Gundam movie, they'll finally get it going, because there's an audience for it, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it happens. You said you did that review. Is that on YouTube or somewhere?
It's not posted live yet, but it has been recorded, and I will report back when.
We'll definitely want to see post the review in the Facebooks when it is done.
Yeah. So that's about sums it up for the stuff that I got into, and so with that, we're gonna take a quick break and go into the MechBay Hanger for our roundtable topic.
Excellent.
Now entering the MechBay Hanger.
Welcome to the MechBay Hanger. As I mentioned, this is kind of our roundtable topic for the month, and kind of coming out of the experience of watching the Gundam Seed movie, and just kind of thinking about that different perspective of what people liked and grew up with and enjoy. I thought it'd be kind of neat for us to talk a little bit about shows that we're a little sentimental for, or shows that are kind of our comfort shows that we go back, or not just shows, but like media that we go back to and revisit, because it's just something that we enjoy doing when we take a break from our backlog of new things to consume. It's like, you know what, I want to go back to visit this thing again. And I thought I'd kick us off with one of mine, which is always a fun time because it brings so much just energy with it, is Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. Early 2000s show, all about like the human spirit overcoming adversity in absurd super robot kind of ways. And the music is fantastic, and the characters are really engaging, though some you reflect back on is the times were a little different
Yeah.
in the early 2000s. Some of the characters don't really get to flourish in ways that you'd like to see, but I always really enjoyed that series. There's a really solid message of it, kind of taking those generational steps of the older generation putting forth so that the younger generation can carry on, and so on and so forth. So I always like going back to that series and checking it out again just for a good fun time. So Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann is the first one I'll report on.
Nice.
And so I think I rotate to Pat this time.
Me.
Yeah.
Patrick.
All right. So I am going to put mine in order of how I experienced these
Like chronological order?
in my life.
Okay.
And so
Reverse or is this the first one or the last one?
this will be the first.
Okay.
And so the first one.
Can I guess you?
Sure.
Can I guess? Is it Mighty
Yeah.
Orbits? Orbots?
No.
Oh.
What the hell's the Mighty Orbots?
Isn't that the what is it? Isn't that the one the gold robot?
No, that was John. No, oh Christ, what were they called? It was Goldar.
I was gonna say that sounds like a Goldar
It
thing.
was Goldar.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what.
Yeah,
the
it was something like
American
that.
one was called.
Yeah, I can't remember the actual show. I thought that's what the name of the show was.
No. That does well. It does. It's a part of my childhood. It doesn't bring me back to nostalgia as say the original Gundam.
Is that where you're starting?
Yeah, the original Gundam is where I'm starting because that was probably one of the first true exposures to an anime mech cartoon / comic book or whatever you want to call it that I experienced. And even more so because the fact that my friend, his dad, who was in the Navy, brought a subtitled version back. We saw the Japanese version. We didn't see the cut American version that usually happens when they finally make it to the States. So
Right.
that part is the part that really holds a little bit solid. I mean,
You
back
got
then,
you got the nudity.
yeah. So back then, I didn't know that there was a difference between. So until I actually watched an American cut version, I was like, "Oh, this is not nearly as good as the one we watched."
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
And
think
so-
I think the versions that pretty much you can watch now are the original versions, but
Yeah.
the
But
American
back in the
editing
80s,
was much different. Yeah.
Back in the 80s, that was one of the first ones. They're Mecha. I mean, there were other things that I watched when I was little, like the Goldar. I wish I could remember the name of that TV show. The
It's
American
not Goldar
version.
because Goldar's from Power Rangers. It's something
Yeah,
else.
no. Goldar is the giant robot's name, and that was his cartoon series in Japan.
Yeah, it was only in Japan. But
Yes. But there were other Japanese things that are anime or mech slightly related, like Star Blazers, or Battleship Yamato, or Battle of the Planets. What was that Japanese version? What were the Ninja Gaiden or something like that?
No, that Battle of Planets was they had so many
Isn't
names.
it-
No, Ninja
I think it
Gaiden.
was Ninja Gaiden or something like that.
Man,
Now I'm gonna have to look it up.
Anyway, you're
anyways,
thinking of Ninja Gaiden, but
Yeah,
that might be
no, I
something
think
No,
you're-
else.
it's not Ninja Gaiden, but it's
yeah, it's
but that's my first experience and brings my first nostalgia experience. So, what about you, Rob?
my first one. I'm not doing it in chronological order, but my first one is that I'm going to talk about is it's actually fiction. It's not even a series. It's books
I
of
hope it's fictional.
well, I mean books, actual books, dead trees. Back in high school, I discovered something called Battletech, and I got into the fiction. And to this day, I still read the fiction, but it's modern stuff. But the old classic fiction is it's that original few books, especially where that's something I go back to a lot. Right from where you start reading the books, and then it goes into the clan invasion, and those first clan books were like that was like what the hell is going on? Like it was such a crazy world, and to read the fiction for me was way more important than the game. I think I definitely was more into the story behind it, and now the story goes. It's got a history of like 300 years that literally has books written about from one end to the other. So it's got more. I think I know more about that history than actual history. So, and I was a history major. So, but yeah, it's so deep now. But that original, like first discovering it as a teenager, and you're like, wow, this is so crazy. That there's well written, and because like you read. I'm sure I read like the AD&D or the D&D books back in the day, and they were just for kids. Really, this was actually treated people like adults and had adult stories. So I think that was a big difference for the BattleTech fiction. And yeah, it was. I think I even read the fiction before I even knew there was a game behind it. So I think
Nice.
so it was. Yeah, those classic books. I still to this day I go back and maybe not reread them, but definitely go over them again. But it is. Fun times. And yeah, 3025 is where everybody should be playing. So, what about you, Brian? What's your next one?
So my next one is gotta be Mobile Suit Gundam 08th MS Team.
Oh
yeah. It's definitely a fascinating story where it's often touted as like the Gundam Vietnam, right? Where it was kind of down in the dirt, really kind of showed both the combination of like the grittiness of the war, but also like had some really awesome mech moments. That's where we get an enemy ace against our main cast, and he really like holds him off. And the Shuddering Mountain Part 1 is definitely like a pinnacle, I think, of Gundam storytelling and animation and everything. Believe that was 98, 95, 98, I think. So like right in the heyday of that 90s anime, another one that came out like on Toonami. So it was right there, and of course then you hear that there's like, oh, don't you know that there's profanity in it too? You can get the After Dark Toonami, the Midnight Run, and yeah, it was just that was actually kind of my first entry into the Universal Century Gundam, and hearing about the war with Zeon and everything like that, and it is in part, there's kind of this Romeo Juliet story, but it's a lot of characters struggling with how you deal with war, and that the shades of gray really kind of resonate, where our hero kind of goes through that moment of wanting to be that like that paragon and like save everyone that he can, but it is like a war zone, and there's conflict there, and it's like, well, you can either save, you're going to be put in those situations where you either save your allies, or you save an enemy that might go on to kill them. And so that one always really resonated with me, and I just love the animation of it. The Gundams in it look amazing. All the Zeon suits are fantastic. What more is to say? 08th MS Team is a pretty excellent entry, even if it struggles to really fit into the timeline of, well, when the Gundams showed up, it was at this point in the 1 Year War, and like the Kojima Battalion suddenly has 8 teams of Gundam suits.
You can make them quick, but it does. The beauty of that 08th MS Team is that it takes it very seriously, and it's like very adult. Like it's the first time you see Gundam that wasn't like, oh, this is for kids, or this is, it really treats it like,
it was adults in the battlefield, not kids being thrust into the war, which is its own like topic, and it's been done very well. But this was, hey, these are the adults, these are the soldiers who are
the actual soldiers. These aren't these super magic people. These are just the soldiers who are on the ground and having to fight and live through this. That's what. Yeah, it's such a good series. It is my favorite Gundam series for sure too.
Yeah. So I will hand it off to Pat to go next.
It's called Gatchaman, by the way, Pat.
Yes, Science Team Ninja Gatchaman and Space Giants. Space Giants.
That's it. Just that old planet was G-Force too. I remember it as G-Force. So.
Yeah, G-Force.
The team was called G-Force. The cartoon was called Battlefield Planets.
No, at one point it was called, the cartoon was called G-Force too. Like it was renamed so many times. It was just crazy.
Licensing is crazy in the 80s. Yeah.
It was. They keep re-releasing it.
That was all Sandy Frank.
Well, it's a classic series. Anyways, what's your next one?
So my next one will be rolling into probably everyone else's. Would be Robotech.
Robotech,
not the Macross, the Robotech, because I didn't get the Macross. I got the Robotech when I first
for sure
came across it, and I came across it as books though.
Yeah,
Mm.
And
I
then
had
got
those
into,
books. Yeah.
and then in the cartoon, you know where it said Robotech on the side of the
Yep.
spine?
Yeah.
It was just the actual episodes, just in book form. Yeah.
Yes, and so I had those, and shortly after that, I was able to see the cartoon on TV and stuff. So, it's just another stepping stone in the mech history of my. Starts with Gundam. You're like, oh, awesome! Now we have mechs on planet Earth that transform in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
They're fighting giant aliens.
Fighting giant aliens, yeah. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's just, you can't not be a mech fan and really not like any form of Gundam or any form of Robotech, be it Macross or Robotech, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I can see a lot of probably younger kids being like, "Oh, this is just old," and this is, and it's like, well, no, this is the history. Like, this is where it started.
This is where things start from. You can't have
especially Gundam.
Watching.
The original Gundam is so groundbreaking. It's just ridiculous.
If you don't realize what you're watching is all based on all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Especially the original anime stuff. They step on each other's toes over there, left and right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
So-
for that original Gundam and into Macross, it was the idea of having real robots instead of super robots was a big sea change.
Big shift. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a major
100%.
series.
So,
I was going to save it for my number one, but I'll piggyback on that. Robotech was definitely my it was my first anime that had robots in it, but it was also, I'll tell my story. This is my Doctor Who story because I was part of a Doctor Who like viewing club when I was like 7, with like mostly like old adults. Then luckily my mother would take me, so I wasn't abused. But but one time before we watched Doctor Who, they put on a Robotech episode, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" Like as a little kid, you're like, never seen anything like that. I watched G.I. Joe, I watched Transformers. That was kind of the animation I was used to, like He-Man, that kind of stuff. Seeing Robotech was like, dear God, what is this? Like, it was so amazing. And yeah, that definitely ignited my love of robots. And yeah, it was that's just seeing that for the first time was.
yeah, that's a good call. So when I think back on Gundam and Battle of Planets and all the other cartoons I used to watch, one of the things I do remember is that, like you said, these aren't the Saturday morning cartoons that I'm used to watching. And these cartoons I were watching were never on Saturday morning. These were like after school cartoons that I watched for 30 minutes. So, like you said, it was just a whole new world of animation.
Yeah.
And
how dynamic it was, and how
in my little brain, I'm not thinking that this anime or this cartoon is groundbreaking animation and stuff. I just knew it was different.
Yeah.
And it was cool looking.
Yeah, way cooler. Yeah, like and the idea of having a sequential story, like Transformers is a sequential story, sort of. Like you watch them in order, it makes sense. But this is mostly it's episodic. But this is like,
and I'll definitely lump Speed Racer into this too, because that was also another.
Yeah. It's like the idea of episodic cartoons that you have to watch every week, which you never could as a kid because you're always out playing or you'd always miss episodes.
And then if you are old enough to remember, and I was now I see it, but then I didn't really catch it. But Speed Racer in itself was almost soap operatic.
Oh yeah, for sure. All these were very. It was not just about the action and about stopping the bad guys. It was also about relationships and it was very different.
The only downside to Robotech, I'll say, is that whole Min-Mei Rick love arc that just
that's the story, man.
Love
it's just so bad. It's not the story itself is so bad. It's just how much of a fool
melodrama. It's a lot of melodrama.
Melodrama. It just kills me.
But seeing that was like very different and very interesting. And I remember then going into like video stores trying to, because there would be certain episodes would be on video, but not all of them. It would be like a certain random assortment of videos. So you just rent them and it'd be like, oh, this still doesn't make sense, but okay. You get a little story. Right. It'd be like 3 episodes together, so you'd like at least get some of it. But it was an awakening, as they say. So Robotech for me too. That would have been my number 1, but since Pat said it, it would be my number 2. Back to you, Brian, for your number 1.
Yeah, so I'll throw in that honorable mention, Macross
Yeah.
and Macross Frontier. I think for me is kind of the next stage of the Macross franchise. I love Seven and whatnot, but Frontier, I think I mentioned in a previous show, is like a great next step if you're interested in following in
And pretty soon they'll be
on the
all on
Macross
Disney Plus.
franchise.
So
Yeah, that'll be cool to revisit that.
yeah, definitely gonna
Um,
start from the beginning and go through them all.
and like I did want to include some games in my list, but like there is one more anime for me that just is the number one top spot. So other honorable mention to Front Mission 3 on the PlayStation 1
Mm.
and Gundam Breaker 3 on the PS3 or 4. I forget which one I had that on. But those are both excellent, both very different. Like one is a tactical grid-based, very highly customizable, um, very kind of like Pat Labor-esque uh, game and tactical game, and then one is very much an action robot building model kits.
Yeah,
Like
beat 'em
you're
up.
literally playing
Yep.
Gundam Build Fighters, the game.
Yep.
But my number one pick for like a comfort series has got to be Outlaw Star. And I'm fighting that it gets the mech tagline because they have their giant spaceships and they rock'em sock'em robot each other to death. It's spaceship combat, but it's done in such a way that's not just like shooting cannons at each other. It is space melee, and like the action beats with the titular Outlaw Star are always excellent, very well animated and fun to watch. Very creative too, given that kind of space that they're playing in. And but the cast of characters is also just a great set of personalities kind of thrust into this situation together. This is one of the trinity of the cowboy, the space western. Would go on to inspire things like Firefly, and other series like that. So and I still love, like, one thing I absolutely love about it is it it has this big arc that the characters go on, and we have a rather like psychedelic finale, where it does get a little super robot, uh, and then like we come back from that into back into kind of the real world, and they have to deal with the fact that in episode 7 or 8 they left the planet without paying the parking fee, and so they get arrested when they come back to the planet, and have to post bail, and it's all sorts of fun stuff like that. Like it's just such a a series with so much life and personality, and a fascinating world space. It's always sad to me that we didn't get to explore more of it. That it was kind of a one and kind of a half show, and that was kind of all we ever got of it. But at the same time, that much like Firefly,
Yeah, maybe that makes it better. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, Outlaw Star is got to be my number one. So
Nice.
Pat, what is your next?
All right, so the last thing I bring back nostalgia to is more of the whole genre instead of just a fiction, like for Rob. It would be Battletech. Because I got into both around the same time. I got the box set and I got the Sword and the Dagger book roughly months apart. Like I got the Sword and the Dagger book first, and I was like, wow, this thing is awesome. And then, I think there was even an ad in the paperback.
Yeah, I think there was. Yeah.
And I went, oh, this is a game? And then I went hunting for it. And then then it becomes the mech standard, I guess, in our group, because we're playing now Battletech. Whereas I didn't have a game for Robotech or Gundam, other than I guess there were some video games at the time. RPGs, but in RPGs we weren't playing any of the Japanese lines where it was.
Well, they had the Palladium, the Robotech Palladium game, but
Yeah, but
it's
that
not.
point, so
You're not playing with miniatures, that's for sure.
yeah, and at that point
Yeah.
we were if our RPG at that site was still D&D.
Yeah.
You know, second edition hadn't come out yet, and you know, I was just getting ready to leave, so I was getting ready to leave role playing, leave for college around that time. Because when did I get Battletech and Sword and the Daggers? 87, I think, is when all that stuff came out.
Yeah, I think somewhere around there. 85, I think, is when original Battle Droids came out. So
yeah, but I don't think I got into it until after I read the book and then got the game. So, but then you know, even now, like we were just talking about, you know, we're talking about me still putting together a grinder get together. Boy, that sounds good. A grinder of Battletech robots.
We've been flagged for.
Yeah. But you know, it's still a staple as well as Gundam, as well as Robotech. You know,
it's definitely one of the three, for sure.
That are still you know, I'm heavily involved in. You know, I'm making Neo Zhang Gundam robots, still building Gundam models, Gunpla, attacking SDF for Robotech. We have the Robotech RPG now, and then you know, we never stop playing Battletech. You know.
We got a better version.
We kickstarted a crap ton of Battletech, and there's a better version. But you know, it's still. This is why I picked those top three, because those are the top three things that are still active on my shelf.
Yeah.
So
which is saying something, because
for
got a lot of stuff.
40. Well, it's this year is 40th anniversary of Battletech, so there it goes. 84 then, obviously.
That's the longevity there, like, speaks volumes.
Yeah, and when you put this topic out to us, and I was thinking real hard about it, I was like, well, you know, these are the steps in my mech life, in a sense, and each one of these things pushed me to the next level, and are still very active
in your life
today.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think all mine too. Like, that's true too.
Yeah. But that's it for my last one. It'd be Battletech.
It's great selection.
So my last one is it's a newer thing, but it's something that I go back to all the time because I like watching them. But it's the Pacific Rim movies, like both of them. To see live action giant stompy robots done that well,
It's good.
Yeah, it was like a lot of people don't like the second one, but I think it's very anime, the second one, because it's all about kids piloting mechs.
Yeah, I do like the second one in a sense. I don't like the story so much because
the story is the weakest part.
The whole mind meld thing take over.
I still think it's fun. Like,
that's the part that gets me. I think that's the part that ruins it for me. Is the
Charlie Day is a great actor and he could do anything. So I said
I like Charlie Day, and I liked him in that character, but his story arc,
I understand,
is the weak link.
But just the visual, especially the first movie, when
the spectacle of it all is.
When Gypsy Danger picks up that boat and starts using it as a bat, like, you're like, what the hell? Like this, I would never thought I saw this in live action. Like, it's
very reminiscent of Atlantic Rim.
Yes, it did steal everything it did from Atlantic Rim.
Yes,
that's true.
It's very reminiscent. It makes me nostalgic to watch.
There's quite a few sequels to Atlantic Rim. Did you know that?
Atlantic Rim was really?
Yeah.
Atlantic Rim was so close to making my list.
I was on Tubi the other day watching something, and I was skimming through it. I was like, this is different than Atlantic Rim. There's a bunch of them. I was like, oh wow, I gotta tell Pat about that. But no, Pacific Rim, it was groundbreaking, and I'm sad it didn't do better. It did good enough for a sequel and an anime and things like that, but man, it was such a
I think
before its time. Maybe
the first movie was great, and I think the lack of strength of the second movie is what kind of hamstrung it a little bit.
I don't think it's a wide audience kind of movie either. It's not like not everybody wants to go watch giant stompy robots. That's all.
No.
I mean, that speaks to Guillermo del Toro's,
Yeah, the first one was all people wanted to watch it because of him.
Yeah, I think if the story had just been a little more concise and a little less campy.
Well, the second one wasn't done by him either, so I think that also influenced a lot too. Where it was like his little touch wasn't there,
I agree.
You need him especially as he's an auteur who brings people to his movies. Like, there's people who just watch his movies. It doesn't matter what it is, they'll go watch it. So that brought a lot of people in. And then people are like, oh, he's not doing the second one? Okay, I'm not going to bother. Like, there's a lot of that, too. Yeah. But, yeah, those movies are great. I watch them.
it makes a weird combo to do that as a double watch of Pacific Rim Uprising and Independence Day Resurgence or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Where like the premise is the next generation picking up the mantle and everything like that. In a big sci-fi movie.
Yeah, very similar times too. I think they came out right around the same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Independence Day obviously has a bigger draw, so that probably also hurt it. But yeah, I watch those about at least once a year. They're fun to watch, though. At least the mech fights. Like I'll watch the mech fights over and over again. So,
and it also like just the character dynamic and stuff that's at play was kind of atypical of a lot of movies, even still today, of like finding that balance for your male and female lead, where they're not playing off each other in a dynamic way, and it's all good.
Yep. So that was my number 2 actually, because Robotech was number 1. But anyways,
in order of conversation continuity.
Yes.
Yep.
But for honorable mention, remember Crazy Ivan back in the day for I think it was on PlayStation, original PlayStation. That was a great mech game.
I have not played that.
It was first person.
I would even then the next honorable mention for me then would be even just the Mech Warrior games.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially the original Mech Warrior or Mech Warrior 2, like
all the way up to now. I would just
But Mech Warrior 2,
Mech Warrior 3, I think is where I really got into this. A lot of that online play was going on, and you formed clans and everything.
Because 2 was, I remember playing it. I think it was maybe even been 1. I was just in high school, maybe just like I was 14. And back then, we weren't so used to using keyboards and mouse. So one person would do the moving and the other person do the shooting. It was like a 2-person job. Now it's like, well, of course you could do both. Like back then it was like, my brain can't handle this.
Yeah, I remember playing games, and I was like, I have to use the arrow keys to move, so my hand is like constrained to this side of the keyboard.
Oh, and then don't forget about when you got the joystick and running the keyboard at the same time.
Oh yeah, that's that's too advanced for me. Or foot pedals.
Oh no, the joystick and keyboard combo was really where I started to. It wasn't until X-Wing where
X-Wing. I was going to say that. Yeah, I had a joystick for X-Wing. Yeah, X-Wing was definitely the joystick.
I mean, a lot of those Commodore 64 games like that were essentially 2-player games, like Apache helicopter.
Oh yeah,
one of us
couldn't play that game.
Would operate the keyboard and
there's too many buttons.
Shoot the...
now with like literally Cyberpunk, I think uses every single button on my keyboard, so I play it fine. Our brains have to adapt.
Yep. Well, that's going to be a wrap to that topic. If you, our audience, have any other like comfort shows or games or books or anything like that,
I'm curious to hear from younger people too. Like it'd be interesting to hear what their like nostalgia. Like it'd be interesting because we're all a little bit older. Brian's not as old as us, but
no.
But still.
I was gonna say something when Pat was talking about 1987.
Yeah, like I wasn't born yet.
I was not. I had not come out yet.
Yeah, you had not premiered yet.
Unlike 18.
But yeah. Anyways,
so we'd love to hear from you guys. It is a really neat topic, and there's nothing wrong with having a series that you like to go back to. So.
No, and especially now in the day, it's like we're almost in a golden age of. Mexican.
It's so easy to and to watch anything you want. Like you can go back and watch any of these shows. Now, back in the day, you had to hunt for it, or you had to go to like a import store and buy anime DVDs and stuff. Like you don't have to.
I had to go to some kind of Asian market and hopefully an Asian market, and hopefully that they had a video section
or an English dub. Like like it's just make sure it has subtitles at the very least, And it wasn't like you could just turn the subtitles on. It was VHS. They were either hard encoded or they weren't. Like
yes, exactly. Either you got it with the subtitles, or you didn't.
Yeah, once DVDs came out, that was like, whoa! You can turn them on and off. This is crazy. I could choose English or subtitle. Like
right.
As they say in Mystery Science Theater, remember to circulate those tapes.
All right. Well, we'll let you finish, Brian.
Yeah, we'll head to the ExFil and wrap up.
Yeah.
Let's ExFil out of here.
And so I think that's safe to say that was a pretty memorable episode of Mobile Armor Radio. Feel free to follow us, like us on all the social media platforms. We're all over the place. YouTube is where a lot of the shows come out. I think we're still on Podbean.
At this point, I think it might be.
We're at some point we might leave Podbean,
Yes.
but
We were supposed to be
that
gone
time,
already,
just
but John Bear Ross saved us for that.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he saved us, but he was generally generous with his donation that allowed us to stay
kept it for
on
another
Podbean.
year. Yeah, but
we have a pretty active Facebook community as well as less active but still there Discord
and Twitter.
servers.
We're
Twitter?
X, I guess it's called now.
I'll keep calling Twitter. I don't care.
We have a lot of action on the old tweeters. So
So
come say hi.
Yeah. So with that, I've been Brian.
I've been Chopper.
I'm Rob. Like, share, subscribe.
Ring the bell.
There you go.
Right,
Bye-bye.
See you guys next month.
This has been Mobile Armor Radio. Join our Facebook group by searching for Mobile Armor Radio. Find us on Twitter at @MArmorRadio. Join us on the first of every month for more mecha discussion.